The lives of royal figures are undoubtedly fascinating, but even more intriguing when someone doesn't quite fit the typical mold of royalty. Such is the case with Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi. Although her beauty and sense of fashion immediately catch the eye, there is much more to her than meets the eye. Over the years, she has played several roles: journalist, royal figure, director, model, and mother. Part of her appeal lies in her frankness and determination. This is confirmed by her maternal grandmother, Marzotto. When she wants to do something, she does it. She's sweet, but also quite fierce. Marta shared. Beatrice is one to not hesitate to confront the sitting prime minister if it means holding him accountable, which is fitting given her stint as a political journalist for several years. I've seen it in my work. You just expose the issue. Sometimes it gets fixed, sometimes it doesn't. In my view, if you persist and never give up, you cannot always improve the situation, Beatrice explained. Beatrice's life story, born into a noble family but not becoming one, warrants closer attention. If you weren't familiar with her name before, it's definitely worth taking note of her. Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi was born in San Candido, Italy, on August 18, 1985. Her parents are Don Carlo Ferdinando Borromeo and Countess Donna Paula Marzotto. Beatrice was born into the Borromeo family, an aristocratic family descended from the ancient Milanese lineage. Among the descendants of this house are counts, cardinals, and even an archbishop. Her mother, Paola, also comes from an ancient lineage, as her family is one of the key players in the Italian textile business. Despite having 2 children together, Beatrice's parents never married. She has 4 siblings, including her full older brother Carlo Ferdinando Borromeo and 3 half-siblings from her father's previous marriage to model Marian Sibilla Gabrielzoda Isabella Borromeo, Lavinia Borromeo, and Matilda Borromeo. Even in childhood, Beatrice was aware that she lived a more privileged life than others. Although she denied it at the time, she eventually came to terms with it. When I was little, I wanted to be like any other girl, but the reality is that I wasn't, she shared. Despite growing up in comfortable circumstances, she still values the importance of money, which she attributes to her mother. In my home, money always had the right weight. Mom taught me to respect it, Beatrice explained. In 2000, at the age of 15, Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi decided to pursue a modeling career for fun. She also thought it would be a good side job to help her pay the bills and wouldn't interfere with her schooling. I participated in Milan Fashion Week just because I needed to study. I didn't want to make a career out of it. I always felt out of place. It wasn't for me, Beatrice explained. Given her young age and aristocratic background, it's not surprising that her father set certain rules for her modeling career. He asked her to promise that she would never pose in transparent or overly sexual clothing, never get naked, or get into awkward situations, the model recounted. Beatrice's mother helped her kickstart her modeling career by introducing her to a family friend named Piero Piazzi. At the time, Piazzi was associated with the Tomei agency. Later, he worked with stars like Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss. With Piazzi's help, Beatrice's career took off. She made her debut by walking the runway for Chanel, which was a big event in itself, but it was even more significant because the show was held on the Spanish Steps. Since then, she has worked as a model for luxury brands such as Valentino, Blue Marine, and Tassardi. Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi studied economics and international law at the renowned Bocconi University in Italy. While pursuing her higher education there, she met her future husband, Pierre Casiraghi, who was studying for a degree in international economics and management at the time. Beatrice's earnings from her modeling career helped her pay for her living expenses and education in college. She moved out of the family home and started living on her own when she was just 16 years old. I grew up in the village with my father. My mother would come and go. When I was 8 years old, I went to live with her in Milan. Until I was 16, when I left home because we didn't get along, Beatrice explained. Soon after obtaining her law degree, she enrolled in a journalism program. Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi doesn't like to mince words, which is evident in her work as a political journalist. As Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi grew up, her parents held different political views. My mother and I have quite similar ideas. If I want to argue, I call my dad. Beatrice shared. This experience played a role in her ambition to become a political journalist. My mother and father have opposite political views, so I grew up listening to her argue about politics, she shared. Beatrice's mother, Paula Marzotto, who is also a journalist, taught her the basics. She taught me how to read newspapers. The best advice she gave me was always to be alert, attentive to what's happening around me. After earning degrees in law and economics from Bocconi University, she continued her education at the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, where she obtained a master's degree in journalism and political science in 2012. After completing her studies, she worked for various publications, including Newsweek, Daily Beast, and the Italian newspaper Il Fatto Quotidiano. Her talents weren't limited to writing. From 2006 to 2008, she also co-hosted the Italian talk show Zero. As a journalist, Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi delved into controversial topics. In particular, part of her work involved exposing the inner workings of the mafia. At the heart of her work was always the fight for positive change. I've always liked two aspects of journalism. On the one hand, it gave me the opportunity to fight against many injustices. Sometimes our investigations really changed the situation, she shared. On the other hand, it allowed me to explore a world I would never have encountered otherwise. During her tenure, Beatrice was very outspoken about Italian politics, on which she had lost all hope due to the entrenched cronyism and corruption. I don't believe in this system and don't expect it to change. My job as a journalist is to track and expose the failures of this world, she said. It's not surprising that influential leaders attempted to discredit her in the process. The young journalist even allegedly faced censorship from Silvio Berlusconi, the former Prime Minister of Italy. However, Beatrice didn't back down. She actively pursued legal action against any censorship or defamation directed at her. Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi and Pierre Casiraghi tied the knot on a beautiful summer day in Monaco after 7 years of courtship. They held not one but multiple celebrations, which is unsurprising for a royal wedding. The Casiraghi family hosted festivities in Monaco, while the Borromeo family hosted in Italy. The couple began with a civil ceremony attended by 70 guests, followed by celebrations at the Grimaldi Palace and the exquisite Hotel de Paris. Among the sea of 700 guests were familiar faces such as Diane von Furstenberg, Franca Sozzani, the editor-in-chief of Vogue Italia, and the unexpected appearance of Lana Del Rey, who was dating Francesco Carazzini at the time. In early August, the couple headed to Lake Maggiore to spend the second half of the celebrations. The religious ceremony was intimate. The newlyweds, surrounded by family and friends, journeyed to Isolino di San Giovanni, a small island in northern Italy owned by the Borromeo family. They then moved to another private island, Rocca di Ngara, where they hosted a reception with about 600 guests. Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi and Pierre Casiraghi have 2 children, Stefano Casiraghi, born in 2017, and Francesco Casiraghi, born in 2018. Beatrice takes an active role in raising the children. In an interview when she had her first child, she shared that she rarely spends time away from her son. "If I'm not with him, which is completely unnatural, there must be a good reason," she said. "My idea is that if you have children, you don't let others raise them? Therefore, Beatrice often brought young Stefano with her to the office as an assistant. I can get things done even when he's with me. He's an angel, smiles at everyone, sleeps at night. We don't know where he got that from, but quite an energetic angel, she explained. Despite being very career-oriented in her youth, Beatrice made a conscious choice to take a step back when she became a mother. I used to prioritize work, but since I got married, it took a back seat, she shared. I come from a family that made us suffer a lot when we were little because they didn't know how to deal with adult problems. So for me, it's important to protect my family and be united. Married life brought some changes for Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi. She changed professions and moved to Monte Carlo with her husband, Pierre Casiraghi. Instead of a palace, they settled into an oceanfront apartment. This decision had its benefits. Besides the pleasant, slow pace of life in Monte Carlo, paparazzi are banned there, which was a relief for Beatrice when she was pregnant with her first child. Starting a family was always in Beatrice's plans, and she confessed to finding the perfect partner for it. I'm lucky to share this experience with a person, my husband, who is a fantastic father. A father who is always there, every day, whom we never miss, she said in an interview. She hopes her sons will have a better childhood than hers. Unfortunately, my parents went through more conflicts. I know it's hard to judge what happened, but I want to offer my children something different, the mother explained. It seems the Casiraghis make a great team. I'm very lucky because Dad entertains the kids with a lot of activities. I'm lucky that Pierre helps me a lot with the children, Beatrice shared. As for Beatrice's hopes for her children, she simply wishes them happiness. I'm not interested in their success in the future. I want them to be happy and become positive people, she explained. Given Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi's journalistic experience, it was quite logical for her to embark on a new path in storytelling filmmaking. 3 years after moving with the family to Monaco and ending my journalism career, Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi founded the production company Astria Films. Storytelling is at the core of what I do, whether it's writing or filming. I started changing professions when I moved to Monaco because to be a good reporter, you need to be in constant contact with your sources, and that was no longer possible, she explained. By opening her own production company, Beatrice intends to focus on long-term projects. Since its inception, Astria Films has managed to release several interesting films. Beatrice admits that she enjoys being behind the scenes the most. I find it much more interesting to tell the story than to be the one the story is about, she explained. I am enjoying this period of my life when I can pursue my passions, focusing on writing and producing, often on social issues such as environmental problems or the Italian mafia. Given that she was named the most stylish European royal, it's no surprise that Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi was chosen as an ambassador for elite brands like Dior and Buccellati. She's no stranger to Dior, as before becoming an ambassador in 2021, she had already attended its events and shows. She even sat in the front row at the Dior Couture fashion show in Paris Fashion Week. Being a Dior ambassador is a shared trait for the Casiraghi couple, as Pierre Casiraghi named an ambassador for Dior men's clothing in the same year. The luxury brand made the right choice, beauty and intelligence at its best. As for the Italian jewelry brand Buccellati, the partnership was a natural fit. I appreciate the beauty that arises from talent, craftsmanship, and skills passed down from generation to generation, as is the case with Buccellati Creations, which I have loved since childhood. Beatrice shared in an interview. In the past, Beatrice avoided collaborations with brands to maintain her journalist's authority. The partnership with Buccellati came at just the right time. Maria Cristina Buccellati approached Beatrice when she was no longer associated with the press. I have been wearing Buccellati for many years and have been a longtime fan of the house, so it was a truly sincere and genuine collaboration, she said. In 2023, Beatrice Borromeo Casiraghi released a Netflix series titled The King That Wasn't, which tells the story of the controversial event of 1978. Like most of Beatrice's work, the theme of this documentary film is close to her heart. Her mother and Birgit Hamer were very close. This story was part of my childhood because my mother, Paola Marzotto, was one of Birgit's closest friends. She was part of my family for as long as I can remember. She shared,